We are back here in Portland, Oregon with Mr. Luke Larson to talk about computers. And in particular, today, the review just came out.
That's right.
This is the Google Pixel Slate that we have in hand here.
Yeah, one of the last big laptop 2-in-1 releases of the year. This is it. You know, this is the last one of that we're going to see come out before, you know, the holiday season kicks in.
Yeah, so. Kind of, because now I feel like new releases, they start slowing down. The closer we get to CES and kind of everybody goes just into a coast mode right now. So.
Which I'm okay with.
Yeah, right. But this is an exciting thing that's coming out here from Google. So let's take a look at what we've got.
Okay, so announced, let's see, about a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, the Pixel Slate. This is a 2-in-1. So I'm going to open it up here because I think this is what, just the way it presents itself is pretty interesting. So let me get this going there.
Let's
so that's the way.
A little bit.
Oh, yeah.
On here. So, yeah, this is really interesting how it's...
yeah, so, I mean, right away...
So this is all the case that comes with it, right?
So, basically, so it's kind of set it up a little bit. This is a 2-in-1, so it's very similar to something like a Surface Pro 6 or, you know, kind of similar to like an iPad Pro.
Okay.
It's a tablet that can work as both a laptop and a tablet. And that's the main selling point of this device in particular, the way it does both of those things.
And this is the first time Google's actually jumping into this.
In this particular form factor. So the previous device that this is kind of a follow-up to is the Pixel Book, which came out about a year ago. Not a 2-in-1 in that it rips apart like this one, but it had a 360 hinge, and you could use it as a tablet. But this is really the first one that of its kind.
Where you can actually break it apart.
Yeah, kind of like Surface. So the way I wanted to show, the way that it attaches here is really interesting. It kind of takes a couple different ideas from other 2-in-1s, but basically the top of this folio keyboard just magnetizes to the back of the tablet, and then it's really easy to...
Oh, nice.
Yeah, just try. I mean, it's like one hand, and you can. Well,
that's actually that's really simple. Why
kind of simulates or emulates like an actual laptop hinge. You know?
Why has no one thought of using a magnet before on this?
I don't know, but I don't know how they made it so smooth.
Yeah,
it kind of just like glides along the back.
It really does.
Without any
it's
friction.
Not clunky at all. You would think it'd rip apart and then snap back, but no.
Right.
It's very smooth.
So that's cool. But basically, the folio and the keyboard, they don't come with the device. They are separate purchase, which is crazy to me. But
it seems to be standard though for any of us now. It's like, oh yeah, you got this. By the way, you're gonna like it a lot more if you pay.
Right. By the way, that's basically half of a product. Here's the other half. But anyways, besides that, it's a really interesting product because it is a Chrome OS device, so it's basically a Chromebook. But then it also runs Android apps and has a lot of new touch functionality. So like Google has brought a ton of new, well, maybe not a ton, but quite a few new features like over from Android. So you have like notifications from Android. You have basically an app launcher that looks like an iPad or an old Android tablet.
Okay, is it like Google Play on there?
It has Google Play. You can download Android apps. So it's an interesting sell because it can really do both things. It's a totally functional Chromebook or laptop. But then you can actually run apps on it, and that's the thing that the Surface Pro 6 always struggled with because they just don't have an app ecosystem. You know what I mean? They don't have mobile apps to like bring over to the device.
Yeah. So this is kind of bridging that gap.
Yeah. In a way that both of those two devices, the iPad and the Surface Pro, can't quite fully do.
And I'm curious too, because if you're watching live, obviously you can drop in your questions, your comments, whatever you want to bring up. With that, if you do have questions about that. And so let us know. But who would this really be designed for?
Yeah.
Like who are they targeting with this?
Yeah. So the main, the way I kind of framed it in the review is the iPad Pro, like that is a mobile first kind of device. Like it's not, it can kind of replace a laptop, but you're going to struggle with some things. And your multitasking is not really that great. You don't have cursor support. You can't plug in a mouse. There's just things that you can't really do that kind of hold back it from feeling like a full laptop.
And it's especially with that too, with the price on an iPad Pro. I mean, you're paying a lot of money.
It is expensive,
and
considering.
Considering that you don't have that functionality.
Exactly.
Or at least that ability for add-ons to make it work.
Right. Yeah. And then on the other hand, you have the Surface Pro, which, like I said, Surface Pro 6, which we've got it here.
We do. It's hidden under here the entire time.
And I wanted to bring this in because they look very similar, and they're nearly the same size in a lot of ways.
Really similar. I'll move my laptop out of here.
Side by side, they're Almost
look remarkably
identical.
similar. Even in the back, they look remarkably similar.
Yeah.
We'll flip them around here in a minute. I mean,
Yeah.
that's important, but even the stand looks the same.
Totally. Same idea.
Yeah.
So basically, like I said, the iPad is more of it has the app ecosystem. It has iOS that people love, but it's not a great laptop replacement. Whereas the Surface Pro 6, a full laptop replacement. You could buy it. It's compatible with any application you might want to use that you're familiar with or whatever. It's got that going for it, and it has a serious quad-core processor that can handle a big load. So that's kind of the two side products that kind of represent different takes on it. And then the Pixel Slate kind of sits in the middle.
Okay.
In that it's a better laptop than the iPad. It's a better tablet than the Surface Pro 6. Better tablet than the Surface Pro 6. But I wouldn't say it's better at the other thing than those two devices.
So it really does sit right in that middle.
It sits right in the middle, and it can handle both things. So
is that what Google was trying to go for with this?
For sure. Yeah. I talked to the project manager, and they talk a lot about trying to bridge that gap.
Yeah.
And the fact that they have Android apps and they can bring them over to Chrome OS devices, they see it as bridging those two worlds and kind of doing something that no one else is really either able to do or willing to do. In terms of Apple, they're not really willing to do it.
Yeah, Apple just kind of has their system. This is what we do. And
they're not they've said over time and time again that they don't want to start merging Mac OS and iOS. They kind of want to keep those separate.
Right.
So
taking a look here in the chat, we've got a couple of questions. Buck says, how does this compare to other Chromebooks? Is it the cream of the crop or what?
It is near the cream of the crop, I would say. In some ways, it definitely is. So let me talk a little bit about the actual hardware. The display here is the best display by far on a Chromebook that I've seen. It's 3x2, 3000 by 2000. It's near 4K, but it's because it's 3x2, it's a little different. Anyways, it has an amazing screen. It also has really loud, powerful speakers, which I was surprised
Interesting.
by. When I first started using it, I was just shocked by how much bass that was actually in these speakers.
I'm kind of surprised that they would put that much effort into speakers on a tablet. I mean, because how often are you really going to be listening to that without headphones in?
Totally. But basically,
it's a nice bonus, though. I mean,
it is, and when they're forward firing, so unlike a laptop where they're usually underneath or on the keyboard deck or something like that, these are firing right at your face.
Okay.
And because they're stereo, you get a really nice stereo separation. You can hear.
Is this idea just for watching movies? Or
watching movies, listening to music.
Okay.
Yeah, media. It's a media device in that way.
Okay. Focused towards that.
So, anyways, great display, great speakers. And the one thing that probably people will hate, although this is something that they get from the iPad, no headphone jack.
Oh,
so you got two USB-C ports, one on either side, which is one more than the iPad.
So you have good speakers, nice. You just don't have a headphone jack.
You do not have that. You don't. We just want you to use the speakers.
All right.
And that's going to be, I know that'll annoy people in terms of this actually being a laptop replacement.
Questions about the mobile app side of this. So basically you're limited to mobile apps running on a larger screen. Does Google Slate mean you aren't going to use desktop apps anymore?
I mean, basically, you can't use desktop apps on a Chromebook. You have Chrome.
Yeah.
You have the Chrome browser, and in my experience, when you're using as a laptop, it really is best to just use the Chrome browser. The Android apps that you can use, they work, but a lot of times you're very aware of the fact that they're not made for a.
It's clear that this is an Android app.
Totally, yeah. Full screen sometimes gets a little funky. Some of the cursor stuff is a little bit weird, but when you're using it as a tablet, it does actually work, pretty well. So I would say when you're. Depending on what mode you're using, they do have something that makes sense for each mode. But when you start crossing wires, you're you start getting into weird things, and you're I shouldn't. This is wrong. This feels wrong.
This shouldn't be happening like this. Well, the Pixel Slate. So is it available to purchase now?
I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe so. The review went up this morning, and I believe it's for sale now. And so last interesting thing about it is there's a ton of configurations available. So it starts as low as $600. That's the base model. Comes with an Intel Celeron processor. So we do not recommend people buy that one, basically.
I was gonna say at that point, what's the point?
Yeah, you're not. It's not going to be, especially if you're looking for something that can actually do the two-in-one thing. Like,
Right.
it's going to struggle, unless beyond kind of some basic,
Basic functionality.
basic usage. So the one we have here is a $1,000 model. Right in line with the iPad Pro and $100 more than the Surface Pro 6. But it has it's the Core i5 version.
Nice.
And if people are interested, it's a Y series processor, so it's not what you get here, but it's capable. And in my testing, it's been pretty, pretty usable. But so that's the one that we'd recommend people get if they're interested in it. And of course, you can go up from there.
And then you can upgrade even further on.
Right, you can get the Core i7 version. You can
Okay.
put in some more storage.
I like that idea that they do have the different versions available. They're not saying like this is it, this is the one you're gonna get.
Right.
You're stuck, but
And when you think about it, Apple has the iPad, which
Yeah.
is only $330.
Yeah.
And so they're trying to compete with different parts of the market with one product. Which is
and
kind of
hit it
interesting.
and scalable for all that.
Yeah.
Well, this is the Pixel Slate, and so the review is up now at digitaltrends.com. You can take a look at that. Luke's got the comprehensive review there. Thanks for bringing this in. This is I'm interested in this, but I don't know.
A little hesitant, yeah.
Yeah, I probably would go with the Surface Pro.
Just because it's a little more familiar.
Yeah, it's more
totally.
familiar, and if I'm going to pay that much, I want to be able to run the apps I want.
Yeah, totally. I think
but-
that's going to be a big kind of
sticking
really
point
sure
for a
about
lot of
that.
people.
Yeah.
Well, Luke Larson, so his review is up there at Digital Trends. You can take a look at that now for the Pixel Slate.